I don't know how far this state of affairs continue. I mean, if human beings can do it, some chimpanzees must have it because they are much smarter than most people, and very often much nicer than many people. But cats and dogs are wonderful things. I don't have a dog, but on the other hand, I like the idea of having a dog. Because dogs exhibit such a degree of affection for you, and their eyes open up, and lambs, they smile. They are stupid animals, but on the other hand, they smile, and you feel very good. So, hopefully, the divinity transcends the human form. But if you ask, are all human beings divine potentially? There are some times you wonder, is so-and-so human? Because they sound very human, but on the other hand, what they do and what their instincts are very different. So, the question of who has these higher states of awareness, we don't know. I suspect that most living things have happy state of affairs. But whether it would be Turiya, that we would not say, because we don't know whether they dream, whether they sleep, or any of those things. Yes?
How is Sanskrit Bhasha related to anything to your subject of theoretical physics?
Sanskrit Bhasha is very much like physics because no, it is now in a state of happiness. Sanskrit Bhasha is a Samskrita Bhasha. I mean, it is been purified, refined, so that you try to express the same ideas in the shortest set of symbols. And also, it contains, what shall I say, the world within it. That is, you say one word or one sentence, then suddenly it resounds at all levels. And that is a sign of a very Sanskrit Bhasha. I mean, something which has been refined. So, if you refine the language to that particular point, the language itself becomes a divine device for higher state of awareness. Some people say music does this one. She sings all the time, and I agree with her. Even when I don't agree with her. No, but in a good language, you can encode into the language so many things with regard to it. When I was younger, a couple of years, I had to study logic, deductive logic, Greek logic. Greek logic, they somehow were the impression that the only form of valid argument is the syllogism. That is, you say, something is so, all men are mortal, Socrates is a man, therefore it's without any statement that Socrates is mortal. So, they wanted to do this one, but then they found that there were many propositions, many arguments which are valid, which were not in this form. So, they encoded the thing in the name of the thing. They were called Barbara, Scylla, and Daria, Efirio, Cicere, Camistris, Festino, Barocco. All the letters in the thing are essentially codes as to how you go from this form to rewrite the thing in a different fashion. So, Sanskrit Bhasha has that great advantage that it is very refined and therefore contained within it many things which are not obvious, which appear to you after you have sufficiently meditated on it. But this is not very different from theoretical physics. We write down something and therefore we say that, oh, this is a great discovery that I made. But then you find that you discovered more than you thought you discovered. That there is more implications of the thing that come in from the thing. So, contained within it is the what shall I say, the seed of growth. in it itself is contains that if you know this much, then you know this much more. And if you know this much more, then you can do even more. Things like that. So Sanskrit Bhasha in that sense seems to be very, very refined. It contains within it so many things. But it does not follow that all truth should be first expressed in Sanskrit before it becomes truth. It is still true. In fact, there used to be a great teacher in Kerala who gave a description of something and then recited something. And he said, but what is that in Sanskrit? He said, they said, anybody say that all truths have to be expressed in Sanskrit? It could be expressed in Sanskrit, but why do you want it? Once you know the understanding and if you say it is true, it is true.
Sir, I think you're familiar with the Vedanta aspect also. I just have out of curiosity, maybe in one of your discovery, you discovered something and later on you found out that, okay, this is already somewhere in our Shastras. Have you ever come across that?
Not really, not really. Unfortunately, I deal with very prosaic things of the world and therefore very rarely is it described someplace. There used to be a friend of mine who is now no more, who was a medical doctor but was very interested in ancient things, and he would every now and then exhibit something. There was one shloka which said, this is the thing and this is about the velocity of light. You measure this one. So I said, but have you found anything about velocity of sound? Because sound is something that you recognize as having a finite velocity. He said, no, but this is... So I said, this is very good, but it would be nice if we can find some other things also, something more prosaic with regard to that. So it is possible that many of these things are known and put in such succinct fashion that I don't recognize it. And therefore, every now and then when I read something, I start wondering, now, does this have some real meaning? You know, in Malayalam, the word for zero is pujya. Pujya. Nothing. But nothing is quite something because it is the one which is to be worshipped, pujya. Because all numbers start with zero. If you don't recognize what is zero, how can you recognize what is 1 or 2 with regard? So I have not come across anything, but I hope one of these days I will.
Dr. Sudarshan, do you believe that your ability to think like a scientist has impacted how you observe or how you view Vedantam or vice versa?
Oh yes, yes, yes. Because after all, once you become a scientist, it gets into you.
Right.
You cannot escape it. And therefore, whatever you do, you think in terms of this one.
So you apply the same critical thinking?
Critical thinking, but also finding finer points, asking the question, is this the end point or is there something further refined about it? So I think being a scientist is a transformation. It's like waking up. It is another aspect of your existence, and gradually I hope it permeates your whole life. But when I feel hungry, I still feel hungry. Good, I thank you very much for listening to me, and since many of you were smiling during the talk, I assume that I gave you some happiness. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. So I must also thank Bhamati ji. She is also an academic. She is also a great learned person, and not only that, they're great community leaders. She is also very instrumental in organizing music, Carnatic music festivals around here. So a big applause to both of them. And like the professor said, Sanskritam is a key. So we hope we have provided you some insight, some investment you need to do as well. So we will help you, we'll give you the tools and we hope that you take it up, and over the next coming year, right, you will proceed on your study of Sanskritam, and then you will come back to us again next year as well. Okay. All right. Thank you again very much, Professor, and Bhamati ji also for coming. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. It is always said that Sanskritam was designed to find truth, the language that was designed to find truth, one aim. So it's very natural for truth investigation.